There is a very thin line between flirting and being creepy, and honestly, all of us have made mistakes in our life that have made us come across as creepy to women. Now, if there is ever a girl I like, I would stare at her occasionally, but I don't ever want to be the guy who spams her phone with messages when she doesn't reply, and I'm sure neither do you. I was always worried that people would think I was creepy, but then I saw other guys who were way creepier than me, and they all had these 4 bad habits in common. Let's get right to it. 1. Unfortunately, many guys are creepy because they pursue women who do not consider them attractive at all. In other words, these men don't meet the minimum eligibility standards that women have in their minds for dating material. Today's standards for what is considered an eligible partner are higher than ever before. If a man who does not meet a woman's high standards tries to pursue her, she will likely find him repulsive. To be successful in the dating world, you must be physically attractive. Part of our self-improvement journey should include improving our physical attractiveness. By neglecting your appearance and physical fitness, you are making yourself unattractive to the woman you want to pursue, which creates a major roadblock in your love life and makes you one of the creepy guys. There is one thing you really need to keep in mind, and that is how creepy you are is heavily correlated to how unattractive you are. Like, imagine a 10/10 guy who has a great jawline and 6-pack abs, making eye contact with a girl. That won't be considered creepy, while if a 10th guy does the same thing, the woman is surely gonna feel repulsed. 2. The second bad habit is not being aware of the signs that she's not interested. Some guys don't notice when a woman isn't into them. They're just very clueless in social sexual situations, and they miss the message entirely. So ask yourself right now, do I get the message that she's not into me? I'm asking you this question because guys who have experience will be able to look back and see where they went wrong with a girl who wasn't interested. They'll realize that they didn't pick up on the signs that she didn't like them, and that's what made them seem creepy. It's common for girls to never say outright that they're not interested in you or don't want a relationship with you. Rather, they'll drop hints or signs. It's your responsibility to read and understand these clues so that you can accept when she's not interested. She may feel anxious about rejecting you directly, or she might enjoy the attention you give her. Just be careful not to become too needy or clingy. Otherwise, you won't notice the signs indicating her lack of interest and will end up as the obnoxiously creepy guy. 3. The third habit is learning to accept rejection. I understand it can be hurtful when you're rejected, but what good does it do to harass or stalk someone who doesn't want anything to do with you? All you'll succeed in doing is pushing them even further away. Keep in mind that not everyone out there wants to date or sleep with you. Learn to accept rejection maturely and gracefully. If you don't do that and keep stalking or pursuing the woman who has clearly rejected you, then you're gonna come off as a total creep. 4. The fourth habit that makes you seem creepy is staring at her. And this is especially true if you're staring at her body instead of holding eye contact. It's interesting because an attractive guy can stare at a girl's body, and it can be seen as sexual interest, but if you're not as attractive, it just comes across as creepy. So attractiveness really matters here. The more you improve your looks, the more things that you do will be seen as attractive instead of creepy. Quitting bad habits is easy, you've just been using the wrong method. Normally people quit a habit using willpower, but willpower is a limited resource. When we rely on willpower, we encounter ego depletion. We lose all motivation to keep fighting and give in to our raging cravings. For example, when you first quit, you can do well for a few days. Then you start to think maybe just this one time where I've been good, I can just do it a little. And you give in. But don't worry, there is another way. Using this strange method, I have quit alcohol, sugar, binge eating, smoking, porn, and procrastination. As a result, I have lost 70 pounds, found a girlfriend, quit all medication, and I wake up with a smile on my face. Here is the method. Meet your addiction voice. Your bad habit or addiction has its own voice, the AV. The AV wants you to give in to your cravings and works by hijacking your inner monologue. It will say things in your own voice like, why don't you just smoke one more time? It won't do any harm. Or you need to smoke, or you will get grumpy and damage your relationships. The truth is, everything the AV says is a lie to get you to give in to your bad habit. To learn to recognize your AV can be brought to light by making the law. The law is unbreakable and doesn't require any willpower to follow. Does it require willpower for you not to steal a car or rob a bank? No, the law cannot be broken at any point. Write down your law if it helps, but the most important part is defining it. Example, I will never smoke again. But how can this help you recognize your AV? Because any thought that pops into your head that contradicts the law is the AV, not you. 3. Create an AV avatar. Assign an avatar to your AV. For example, my smoking AV was an old, ugly man who chain smoked and had cancer. Whenever I'd hear him say, go on, just have a quick one, it can't hurt. I'd say screw you old man and give him the finger. This also helps with cravings. Cravings aren't really happening to you, they are happening to your AV avatar. Your AV avatar wants to give in, not you. Without you giving in, they will disappear and die. Your true self is already free of this addiction, so the cravings aren't happening to you, they are happening to your AV. Extra tips: never negotiate. If you keep playing with your AV and trying to argue, you will just end up giving in. As soon as you recognize your AV, shut it down. Make your avatar ugly and not friendly. They are the scum of the earth. My binge avatar was a pig, not a cute little one, a fat, smelly, warty one. Always remember, your AV cannot make you do anything. All it can do is speak to you. You don't have to do what it says. Your cravings and voice will disappear faster than you realize, but never let your guard down. Also, realize that bad habits are not the problem. As I said, if you constantly go back to your bad habits when you know you'd be better off without them, there's a deeper underlying issue. I've noticed that for a lot of people it has to do with anxiety or depression, and it was the same for me. I was always making up imaginary worst-case scenarios for the future or dwelling on mistakes or tough situations from the past. If you keep trying to stop indulging in your bad habits but you just can't seem to do it, you have to fix the root cause. There's no band-aid solution for this. After lots of journaling and thinking about the problems I faced with discipline, I realized two things. I was always living in a semi-unconscious state and I was always seeking instant pleasure. It's probably the same for you, so here's how I fixed those issues. 1. Living in an unconscious state. If you ever find yourself making bad decisions while you're thinking about the fact that it's a bad decision, you're living in an unconscious state. If you're ever reading, watching, listening to something and you have to rewind because you completely missed what was said, you're living in an unconscious state. For me, the best way to slowly overcome this was meditation, and I find a lot of people explain meditation in a really confusing way, so I'll do my best to make this really simple. Meditation is the practice of sitting for any given amount of time and staying aware, witnessing your brain. If you can only meditate for 2 minutes at a time right now, then that's fine. Just sit and stay aware of the thoughts that come up, and right when you notice the thought, bring your focus to something happening at the moment. Your breath, the feeling of your feet on the floor, anything that's happening now. In practice, you'll start to notice when your brain is trailing off in everyday life. When you're reading a book and your brain starts thinking about something else, you'll start to notice that and be able to bring your focus back. As you meditate consistently, it'll become faster and easier to do so. It'll help in literally everything you do every single day. It will make it so much easier to make decisions from a conscious state as opposed to constantly living in an unconscious state. Give it a shot. 2. Always seeking instant pleasure. The reason you want instant pleasure is that you're validating yourself through results instead of action. So for example, if your goal is to stop eating junk food because you want to get fit, you're validating yourself through the results you see. If you see progress in the mirror or on the scale, it makes it more rewarding for you to stick to your diet. The problem is that takes time, and we don't like to wait. If you instead start validating yourself through the action you take or don't take, you get pleasure right away. Instead of validating yourself through the weight loss or the changes in the mirror, validate yourself by eating the right calories, macros, and working out. If you can change your mindset to seeking validation through actions instead of results, you control when you get validation. Making the right decisions becomes pleasurable at the moment, and you get to see the benefits later on in the form of progress toward your goal. It's a win-win. Once you make this change in your mindset, progress starts coming really fast. I promise. You feel good about yourself because you did what you knew you should do, and you feel even better later on because you see the results of that action. Doing both of these things also helps with anxiety and depression. Anxiety comes from imagination in the wrong direction. You're imagining that the future is going to be worse and anticipating it, and you subconsciously know it's going to come to fruition because you've been making the wrong decisions. If you start living more aligned with your conscience, you'll start to anticipate the results. You'll start to anticipate things going well because you know you've been making the decisions that will lead you there. The most important things are authenticity and confidence in who you are. No one wants to be around someone that likes red, grin, grumble. The point isn't to make yourself like someone else. The point is to find who you are. It will change over time, and be authentic to that. This helps you find people that respect you for who you are, can understand your faults, and still love you. Another important thing is that real men do what needs to be done regardless of if they want to or if it's hard. I think this is where the masking emotions part gets confused. To me, a man should feel it and have the strength of will to do it anyways. Common examples are putting an animal out of its misery. It's not that you don't feel for the animals. Rather, you love it enough to do something difficult and painful to yourself for its own good. By working hard on your physique, success, and confidence, you'll be just fine. This is especially true when it's the last thing you feel like doing. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, leave a comment below on what you think makes a guy come off as obnoxiously creepy.